Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is my series of really trying to get people educated about divorce, especially those divorces that are of high conflict. We are going to be diving in today a little bit more into attorneys and how to ask the right questions to your attorney. I know yesterday we got into like the ins and the outs of why an attorney is so important. And I saw a lot of questions about what do I really need to like focus on and ask. And I touched on a little bit yesterday. So again, if you are watching this series from anywhere, all of the replays on all the things that I've done the past 3 or 4 days are all located on my business page inside of Facebook. You can go to Samantha Boss on Facebook. My business page has all of those replays. So let's dive in a little bit and let's try to talk a little bit more about what it is that we need for high conflict. All right. If we're a case, and again, I went back and covered this on day one. If we are somebody that has a high conflict situation and there is a multitude of ways to make you a high conflict couple, but it only takes one party pushing you into that, we are going to need somebody representing us that understands high conflict. And not every attorney believes in high conflict. Sometimes they'll lead you down a path of saying, it doesn't matter. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And, you can't say those things and you can't do those things. And, once the ink is dry, everything will get better. And there's this falsehood of maybe your attorney not understanding the complete dynamics of your case and how bad it's going to really get. Because it's going to get bad before it gets better. And it might stay bad for a long period of time. All right. So we really got to make sure that we're doing our best to get the right people on our team. So I am one that doesn't want you to just have an attorney. I want you to have an attorney, a divorce coach, a therapist, a nutritionist, a support group that you're a part of, a life coach if you can. Like, I want you to have all people rooting for you, because aside from death, divorce is like the worst thing possible that can happen to you. So we want to make sure you're prepared. So let's dive into some questions. As you're following along, let me know where you're from, what state or country you're watching from today. I typically don't go on Saturdays, so it's going to be interesting to see who jumps on and who's live. I know there's football getting ready to start this afternoon, so people are on here hanging out before everybody starts to watch those games. So let's really think about, when we're talking to an attorney, I want to make sure that I interview not one, but two, if not three. And for some of you, you're probably thinking already, well, Sam, that's super expensive. And here's what I'll tell you about that. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? There's a lot of people that will just go to one attorney, like I did, get completely bamboozled, completely just head over heels in love with all of the very first of everything. And then you're like, you fall in love with that one attorney and you hire him. And then you realized you were sold a lemon. You realize that you were sold the context that is not real. And this person isn't going to work for you as hard as you thought they were, right? So that's why it's always best to go compare. It's kind of like when we buy a car. We think we want the Cadillac, but maybe we need to go drive the Buick. Maybe we need to go drive the Chevy. We got to make sure that we're completely content on that Cadillac. Go compare what one attorney said to another attorney. Tell them a little bit about your case. Say, hey, have you had a case like this? Run through a series of questions, which I can always help you with, and see what really is the answer in comparison to the other attorneys. So I know some consults are free, but some consults cost money. You will be money ahead to do those comparisons. Those of you that don't, you end up buying the lemon attorney, the Larry, and then, a couple weeks, if not months down the road, you're really kicking yourself in the ass thinking, why in the hell did I hire this person? They're god awful. Okay. The second thing I want you to look at and ask them, what is their caseload? A lot of attorneys have a really good stopping point saying, hey, I can't take on any more clients, where other attorneys will just keep taking more and more and more and more clients. And they're completely overloaded with too many clients. And then they can't pay attention to and remember things and has a good flow of things, has a good system. And you don't want somebody that's going to be in court a lot with other cases while your litigation process is going on. So while your attorney is over here working on somebody else's case, you still have day-to-day things going on in your case that needs attention. So if somebody has a really high conflict, heavy caseload, you adding to that, you might not get the attention that you're really, really seeking to look for. So make sure you're really taking that time to understand caseload and ask them, who's part of your team? Who do you have helping you to take on this type of caseload? Has this attorney worked with your type of case? And every case is different. There's some cases out there that we're talking about military. We're talking about special needs children. We're talking about long distance. We're talking about battery. We're talking about financial loss. You want to make sure that you are not some attorneys first. I don't want to be popping anybody's fucking cherry when it comes to a case that they've never handled before. I want to make sure they understand my caseload or my case in specifics. I'm not their first military case. They've handled plenty of military cases before. I'm not their first shift worker case. They understand shift work. They understand special needs. They understand a child that has medical needs. I am not going to hire an attorney that this is their first time. All right. Ask to speak with other former clients. And again, are they going to give you a client that maybe, was displeased with them? No. But even when I get into that client that they give me the name or that contact information, I'm going to ask some hard questions. I'm going to ask some nosy questions. I'm going to ask about that callback time. I'm going to ask about, did they advise you or were they just a yes man? How were they on court prep? How were they on mediation prep? I'm going to ask some really hard questions to that person that they possibly let me refer to and ask questions to. But the thing that I don't want you to do is use social media. I don't want you going on social media and asking, oh, who's the best attorney? Because you're just going to get people that you don't know their case. You don't know that their case looks anything like your case. Okay. So make sure you guys are tapping the screen and sharing this over here on TikTok so where we can get it out. I'm on a different page today. I'm usually on my divorce page, but today I thought I'd go on my co-parenting page. So we'll see how this goes over here. All right. All right. So let's dive into the second part of this, the retainer. How much is the initial retainer? Some consultations are free, but not keeping your attorney. So if you go to that consultation and you fall in love with this person, you are going to have to pay money up front. So when you do that, you have to ask yourself or ask the attorney, how much is this retainer and what all is going to be taken from this retainer? And that's where you have to read your contract with your attorney. You have to read it. Because you need to know, are you getting billed every time you call, every time you text, every time you send a message to the paralegal? What does that look like? How much is it to go in and have a conversation? How much is it to do court prep? How much is it to go to court? How much is it to have them sit next to you in mediation? You have to be sure that, and I think this is where a lot of people are just, we're blind and dumb to divorce until we're in it. We think that retainer of $10,000 or $2,700 or $3,000, whatever it is, because everybody varies from state to state and city to city, populated cities to not populated cities. We think that retainer is a lot of fucking money and it's going to last us a good long time. And then before you know it, 3 months from now, after you've paid it, it's gone. Right? My first thing I'd want you to do is read that contract. My second thing is I'd want you to have an understanding with your attorney that you'll always be getting an itemized bill sheet. You have to be sure that you are always asking for that itemized bill sheet. Okay. So on Tuesday, we're going to cover, and again, over here on TikTok, you can see the detailed information about this. On Tuesday, I'm going to be running a workshop where we're going to talk about how to get that attorney more on board with you because you have a high conflict case. Our high conflict cases, I'm sorry, you guys, we're just different. We run different. We are different. There's things about our case that not every attorney agrees with, nor do they truly understand the amount of crazy that we are currently dealing with and will be dealing with. So we got to make sure. So on Tuesday, I'll be covering that. Again, it's a 2 to 3 hour training, $97. The link is in the bio. Be sure to join that. And if you haven't thought about it, I'm telling you, it's one of the best decisions you're going to be able to make. The other thing I want you to look at when it comes to the attorney is really ask for that itemized billing, like I said. But the relationship part, I want you to ask to talk to the paralegal that's working for this person privately. Hey, I would like to step outside and talk to your paralegal before I leave. And I want to get a vibe. I want to get a really good example of their relationship. I want to ask, hey, what's their lunch order? Hey, what do you cover them when they go to court? Hey, if I call, are you just going to take a message or are you going to try to go find the answer? I want to build a relationship and really see how I feel about this paralegal. Because I'm going to tell you, if you are a high conflict case, you will be working with that paralegal most of the time. Most of the time, that's who you're talking with. You're not talking with your attorney. Number one, it's so expensive to talk to your attorney versus the paralegal. But number two, the paralegal is the eyes and ears of your attorney. So you really got to make sure that you know and get a good vibe with this paralegal. I've had paralegals that were dumber than a box of rocks. They were college kids that were just there to make their 12 bucks an hour, and they didn't rely messages. They did not, really rush anything. They didn't have kids. They didn't understand the emotion I was coming from. They didn't take really good notes whenever I would call and leave a message. And then my attorney was like, well, why didn't you tell the paralegal this? I'm like, fucking did. So really just look at that paralegal. And then when I had my really good attorney, my last one, that paralegal was divorced. That paralegal was a single mom. That paralegal was busting her ass to make sure nothing got out of my case fell through. So you really want to interview the paralegal as well, because they are a huge part of your case. All right. And again, the secretary, nice big offices have a secretary, a paralegal, and also an attorney, right? And multiple attorneys. And again, yesterday I talked on this. Why do you want an office that has multiple attorneys? Because most likely your case is going to take 2 years. Okay, 18 months to 36 months. So if it takes that long to get divorced, there's a good chance my attorney is going to duck out for a vacation or a sick leave or a maternity or something like that. I want to make sure that I have a backup attorney. I need an office that has more than one attorney, because if my attorney's out, I am unrepresented. Sorry, not sorry. That is the reality. And I picked an office at the very beginning that only had one attorney, and that was horrible. Okay. Because every time he was gone or he was in court, no one could help me. And sometimes he was in court for the day. And so then I'm stranded by myself for the day. So again, to each their own. I'm just telling you, if your case is going to take a while because you're high conflict, you want to make sure that the office has other attorneys to be helping you out. So the other thing, does your attorney know the judge? How long has this attorney been in front of the judge that you have in your case? By the time you file, you're most likely going to know who your judge is, especially in a smaller town. So you want to be able to figure out, did I pick an attorney that is really familiar with this judge? Did I pick an attorney that understands how this judge works? You got to be able to understand that your attorney has seen the judge more than you. They know what this judge likes and doesn't like, but you have to do the research yourself as well. You should be going online, researching your judges, figuring out what church they're a part of, figuring out what papers they've written in the past, figuring out what kind of attorney they were in the past. You got to know. And I think a lot of people in high conflict, you are talking with such emotion, and judges are sitting there looking at, okay, what are the rules and stipulations of your case, and are you hitting them? What are the rules of family law, and are you hitting them? When you all go up there, start talking with emotion, some judges check out and they stop listening. So you really got to do your due diligence on understanding your judges, and your attorney that you're hiring should know that really, really well. The other part of this is, has your attorney worked with the other attorney before? So in the interview process, I'm going to be asking, do you know so-and-so? That's who my ex-husband hired. Have you worked against them before? Have you worked with them before? Because some attorneys have. Because it's a big, huge soap opera amongst attorneys and judges. They've all teamed up at some point together. They've been on the same cases together. They've been against each other together. So you really want to understand the dynamic of, have they worked in opposing counsels against each other? And what was that like? What do they know about this attorney? All right. And the last question, and this is just a vague overview, you guys, we can go into way more detail on Tuesday, is what is the response time of calls and emails and questions? Because as I'm helping one of my clients right now, she's very emotional about something that's going on in her case. Very emotional. And that's why she hired me, is to kind of, dump all the emotional stuff, get all of that out. And then we take context back to her attorney, and we don't bother her attorney with the emotions. We bother her attorney about the black and white ins and outs. And so this emotion that she has, it's about her child. It's about her child being left at some point in time. And so she's having a struggling moment with the emotional side of divorce, which is, we no longer get to participate in the day-to-day interactions with our children. And some attorneys and paralegals and secretaries and all those people that you hire to do that side of your divorce don't fully understand that. It could be that they've never been divorced. It could be they don't know anybody of divorce. Maybe they don't have children. And there's just this huge emotional aspect of divorce that I think a lot of us need to be checking the box over here with a different type of person, whether that be a divorce coach or that be a therapist. We got to make sure we're pushing the emotions over to those people and not onto our 500 an hour attorney. Okay. So again, those were just some quick overviews. On Tuesday, you guys, I am running that workshop. Now here's what happened. I was only going to leave it open to 200. We blew that out of the water. So I went and upgraded my package so that I can actually have 400 people in the room. So I'm going to take another 200 inside of that workshop on Tuesday. Again, it's $97. You're going to be able to come and get a replay and watch everything at your own pace. If you have to work and you miss the live, that is completely okay. I understand shit happens, or you all have jobs and time changes and everything like that. I am Central Time because I'm in the great state of Alabama. So I'll be going live at 4 o'clock. We're going to run for 2 or 3 hours. Can you duck in? Can you duck out? Absolutely. It's just a Zoom call. I'm going to let you in. I'm going to let you out. My moderators will. And then you'll be sent that replay that night. It's really critical for you guys to get in here because I only do this once a month, and then I have to wait till all the way till February to do it again. So if you're on the brink of divorce, you're in the midst of a divorce, you have a friend, you need to like and share this with them. That way they understand all their options. Because the one thing that a lot of people go into divorce, and just yesterday, there was a lady on here that said, I need some encouragement on how to say the words, I want a divorce. And I was like, oh, sister, I have been there. I have been there. I've been there. But the thing is you're worrying so much about the words, and you should be more worried about steps 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 after that. I put a lot of emphasis and fear around, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about saying divorce. I mean, what's he going to do? How's he going to react? What's going to happen? And I didn't stop and think, okay, well, only 2 things can happen. Either he's going to be okay with it or he's going to be against it. Let's make a plan for if he's okay with it. Let's make a plan if he's against it, and keep going down that rabbit hole of what happens next, what happens next, what happens next. And in the short version of my long-winded story of my life, what happened was I put too much emphasis on getting the courage to say I want a divorce. And then I didn't have practical practices ready to go when everything hit the fan, right? I didn't have my attorney yet. I had nobody consulted yet. I didn't know about what was going to happen to our finances. I didn't know how fast a temporary order was going to be put in place. I didn't even know what a temporary order was. There was just so many things. And that's what I want to teach you on Tuesday. I want to teach you on Tuesday all the steps and stages of divorce. Again, this is not legal advice. This is just common practice of like, here's what typically can happen. Every state and every country has different policies. That's going to be up on to you. But this is general information of just common sense stuff that's going to happen that I wish someone would have pulled me aside and said, hey, I know you're worried about telling him you want a divorce, but you need to be worried about the divorce, not him, and understanding what this is you're getting ready to jump into. I think more people put effort and energy into the movie they watch tonight, or more emphasis on the car they buy, than they do getting prepared for this divorce in the right way. And this divorce proof your kids, what I guess I thought was this is between adults. You know, I was so, just what do they call that? Something behind the ear. Like I was just so, what is that? What is that link? What is that term? Where you're naive. I was naive to think, okay, this is between adults and this will stay between adults and this won't affect my kids. I can't even believe I thought that for 5 seconds. That was so further from the truth. I mean, my kids were 1 and 3 and I'm like, oh, how can they be affected by this? Greatly, because I was blind, right? I didn't know what I didn't know. I had no idea that the things that were going to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks, wet behind the ears. Thank you. I was going to be completely blindsided. I'm over here filing, going to my first attorney, and he's like, oh, this is literally what he said. Now, again, don't come for me on how dumb I was. I was really stupid back then. He was like, oh, Sam, don't worry about this. I'll have you divorced in about 6 to 8 weeks. This will be easy. You'll have the kids. You'll have child support. You'll be able to move on with your life. Just let me know what his name and his attorney is. I'm like, holy shit, this sounds amazing. I'm going to be divorced in 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to have the kids. Cool. 2 weeks after that, I got filed with a temporary order of 50-50. Now, this person had never had my kids majority of the time or even half of the time before. They worked all the time and volunteered all the time and were gone all the time. They were home at night, but that was about it. And here we were going to have to do 50. I was completely blindsided. So my attorney says, Well, just agree to it and you'll look good. Just agree to it and look good. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't ask for advice from anybody else. My attorney, who I paid thousands of dollars to, is telling me to do something. What did I do? I did it. Biggest mistake of my life. Well, second, the first mistake was hiring the first person. The second mistake of my life was agreeing to 50-50 on a temporary order. I had no idea that temporary order was going to haunt me for the next 2 years. And it was going to set a precedent for what I had already said yes to, which was 50-50 from the word jump. All because I got advisement from somebody that was wrong. Somebody that didn't know my case, somebody that didn't know how severe my case was. Hell, I didn't know how severe my case was. So I think it's just having blinders on. Now, how could I have known? Let's answer this. How do you know? Let me know in the comment section. How do you know that your case is going to be high conflict? Because some of you know, some of you are married and you're probably looking at this person that's somewhere in your house right now, and you know at your heart of hearts that this person is going to make your case high conflict because of the way they fight with you, because of the way they talk to you, because of the way they argue with you, because of the way they need their asses kissed, the way they pout, the way they withdraw love, the way they need validation constantly, the way they point fingers at everybody else. It's their mom's fault. It's their dad's fault. It's the neighbor's fault. Everything is everybody else's fault. And they're always getting picked on, and they're always the victim, right? That means your divorce is going to be high conflict. If that's how your marriage is, you can guarantee you're going to be high conflict. And so how do we do that? So that's where I was blind. He was like that in the marriage, and I thought, I want rid of him. So we'll just get divorced. Fast forward, get a shitty attorney, blah, blah, blah. We're into 50-50. And this is where it starts to affect the kids, because high conflict people, what he did to me in the marriage and what happens to a lot of you in the marriage is all that. I need validation. I'm the victim. It's everybody else's fault, blah, blah, blah. Disagree with everything. Now he was doing that to me, and it was affecting the kids. They were seeing us not get along. They were feeling him talk bad about me. They were not seeing me all the time. They were made to think that I was, the devil, all these things. And I had no idea that a human being who helped me make these children could take them and use them as pawns in warfare. But he slept well at night. He slept very well at night for the next 16 years doing the same thing. And I'm over here with like, if I just be nice to him enough, he'll be nice to me. If I just give him this, he'll stop doing this. I was so blind and stupid. There's a lady on TikTok right now, and I wish I could remember her name. I think her name is Emily. And my heart goes out to her because I see so much similarity in her case and my case all those years ago. And she's a victim of leading with emotion and leading with practical thinking and leading with logic. And she got stompled over in her case and lost her kids, and she's slowly gaining them back. And she's in this righteous mindset of like, I'm not the problem. This person is crazy. This person's high conflict. This person's, and I could so relate. But sometimes when we come from that place, we get looked at as the bad guy, right? And so there's a lot of dynamics, again, going back to what I started today with, is your attorney has to understand that about your case. They have to understand that there is emotional and mental abuse there, and that there was a trauma bond. They have to understand all that woohoo stuff that's out there right now. And if your attorney doesn't direct you towards a divorce coach or therapist, I wonder about that attorney. And here's the deal, guys. Not every attorney is made equally. Not every attorney should be your attorney. There's bad attorneys out there, just like there's bad doctors out there and there's bad cars out there. Not everything is 100% foolproof. So the thing that you can control is, how do you educate yourself? How do you know you're doing right by yourself? How do you make sure that you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's? How do you do that? It's very simple. You educate yourself with classes like this. You come and you learn, okay, what is a parenting plan? If I'm divorcing somebody of high conflict, how do I make sure that everything is in there? How do I make sure my holidays are protected? My visitation is protected. My vacations are protected. My medical decision is protected. You got to make sure it's protected with legal paperwork, because if not, high conflict people flip out. High conflict people want to control forever. They will control how you cross the street if you allow it. So we have to teach them boundaries. And a good point of having a boundary is having a strong parenting plan. So when they call and ask all these things, I want to change this, I want to do, oh, sorry, bud, I'd love to, but I'm going to stick to the parenting plan. Oh, doesn't work for me. I'm going to follow the parenting plan. I'm going to resort back to the parenting plan. I'm going to do what the parenting plan says. You're not a bad guy. Hey, I'm going to do what's court ordered. Hey, I'm going to follow that. That's your backbone. That's your, hey, Sally, I'd love to get along with you and switch that around, but I've already followed the parenting plan and made plans according to that. Maybe next year. You have to have a parenting plan that's rock solid. Now, here's the deal. High conflict people, will they follow it? High conflict people are one of two people. They are an absolute to a T follower, which is great for me. I love a good parenting plan. Mine's 35 to 45 pages that I build for people. Or they go completely against it. But here's the deal. Now they're in contempt. Now it's easy. If my parenting plan is detailed and it says what time you should have dropped off and, well, the kids are not here, you are in absolute violation of your parenting order. Now, the problem is, if anybody knows family law, all they're going to get is a slap on the wrist the first few times. But I got to build a case that they don't know how to follow rules and regulations of the contract, right? And we go down a rabbit hole if we want to talk about contempt, but I don't think that's today, right? So my goal here today was to jump on before football starts and to get you guys coming to the workshop. Again, I opened up 200 more spots. I want to make sure that you all get in there. I want to make sure that you get that education. This is the first time I'm doing this type of workshop. So let me just cover what I'm going to discuss on that day so that you guys completely understand and pick what's best for you. You're going to learn all the stages of divorce, okay, from filing to finalizing. You're going to learn what high conflict is and why it's happening to you. You're going to learn boundaries with your ex without letting your emotions take over, because the courts don't like emotions. Okay. They like you to be professional and businesslike. You're going to learn how to divorce proof your kids emotionally and mentally. And how do you do that with this parenting plan, which we're going to go over, and how to craft your own personal parenting plan, because every parenting plan should be different. Your parenting plan should not look the same as your neighbors or your sisters or your cousins or your coworkers. Every parenting plan should be custom to your children's needs, your jobs, your location to one another, and the desires you have for your children in the long run. All right. You're also going to learn those strategies to get your attorney to wake up that you're a high conflict case and that you need these details. And then I'm also going to dabble a little bit into making sure you're taking care of yourself, because if you're not, then that's going to affect your kids. It's that whole, like, when your kids are happy, when you're happy, your kids are going to be happy. When you're absolutely miserable, your kids are going to be acting out and feeling the ill effects of your shitty divorce process that's going on. All right. So you got to make sure that you get this kind of detail in there. Right. And so I am somebody that got a 4-page parenting plan and it sucked. And I was an educator at the time. I taught a whole bunch of high school classes and I thought, well, I know how to teach. I know how to educate. I'm going to go get an education. I'm going to teach the hell out of people on making sure that they feel better protected with a better parenting plan. So the thing with getting your other half to agree with it is you have to show them how it benefits them. So here's an example. If I help people build their parenting plan and they keep, taking it over to their ex and their ex says no, I'm going to say, what would you do to sign this? And you know what a lot of them are going to say? Money. Give me money and I'll sign it. I'll give you whatever you want in the parenting plan if you disregard something over here with the money. Perfect. And what am I going to do? If I know my case is high conflict, fuck the money. I'll go make more. I will always find more money. I'm going to get the detailed parenting plan to protect my ass and my future with my kids. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The other half of that is it's all on how you deliver it. Your ex already thinks you're crazy. Your ex already knows you're batshit crazy. Allegedly. So what are you going to do? You're going to say, hey, this plan is going to protect you because I'm going to go crazy sometime and I'm going to keep the kids from you. And I won't be able to based on this plan. You know me, I'm going to go crazy at some point and I'm going to take the holidays from you. With this plan, I can't. So you're always protected. I don't go into it and say, this helps you, this helps me. If I mention me, it's a no. I have to describe the plan on how it protects my high conflict ex. Okay. You know how many people have to go back for a modification because A, they didn't know what they were signing. They didn't know what they agreed to, and they didn't know what the judge gave them. They didn't. They had no idea what they were signing, right? So the whole point is we have to educate ourselves. Even if you don't have me write your plan, you will at least know after the workshop on Tuesday that when you go through your plan that your attorney gives you, you're going to go, Sam told me not to sign something like this. Sam said to put more detail here. Sam taught me better. Sam taught me better. Sam taught me better. And you're going to feel on top of the world because you know right from wrong. You know a good plan from a shit plan. You know good wording from bad wording. So this is why you need to come to this workshop on Tuesday. All right. I want to educate you. I'm going to educate who's ever in the room, and I'm going to send that replay out. I want you to understand you need a detailed plan. And to Crystal here, who's saying contempt does nothing. Here's the deal, sister. Contempt in court, you have to build a strong evidence case that they failed, right? The only way to do that is to make sure nothing is left up for interpretation. There can't be any gray area. It has to be written like a fucking third grader can understand it. Where were you supposed to be? How are you supposed to be there? What time? All the absolute black and white details. And again, some judges, when we take people to court, you need to understand this. Let's say my ex did something wrong and missed visitation 6 times in a row. Okay. And he's in contempt. He didn't hit his parenting time. I'm taking him to court for contempt because he didn't show up. He missed 6 times on his parenting time. So I'm taking him back to court to take that time away, and I'm going to have that time now. First off, sister, you already had the time, so I probably wouldn't have poked the fucking bear. Secondly, a judge is not going to, on the first time you raise a red flag, going to go, Dad, you lose your kids. What he's going to do is, Dad, shape the fuck up, do better by your kids, and show the fuck up. And again, nothing happens. Now, Crystal, an example, she says, I know, and I know she knows, but this is just a huge example of where people get frustrated with contempt. But you have to look at it from the judge's perspective. A judge doesn't want to say, damn, dude, you are a piece of shit who never shows up for their kids. Fuck it, I'll give her all the parenting time then. They don't want to do that. They don't want to be the bad guy. Now, again, if I come enough, they're going to have to be the bad guy at some point, but that costs me money every single time. So again, that's where a good divorce coach will come into play and tell you, is this worth it going over to file contempt or not worth it? Is there a way this could benefit you in the long run by keeping your mouth shut or not? That's why I love talking strategy with people about the whole picture, not just what's happening, but how could this play a factor later? How could we bring this up later? All right. So, all right, you guys, I want to duck out. I just wanted to come on real quick and let you know all the things at the beginning about high conflict attorneys. Make sure you're asking the right questions. How many people, let me know, are going to join me on Tuesday? Has anybody already signed up? How many people are going to be there on Tuesday? I need help with the parenting plan. Perfect. Link in bio, SamanthaBoss.com. You can get everything you need. Here are the 4 things that I offer. Workshop, Tuesday. Parenting plans. I build, my team and we build custom parenting plans for people. All right. Consultations. I can talk to you for an hour. The other thing is TNC, the next chapter. That is our support group. That is our coaching group. So workshop, $97. Parenting plan, $19.97. That's $1,997. There's payment plans. Consultations, $497. It is expensive. That's why I want everybody to start with the workshop or TNC, the next chapter. These are both $97. $97 a month for TNC, which is coaching, training, community, support, Q&As. Or the workshop. The workshop is where I want you to really all come in at. Hey, Walker, I want you all to come in at the workshop level, okay? And start there and really absorb me. See if I'm the type of energy that you want. See if I'm the type of person that can really help and educate you. I'm a great educator. I'm going to cuss a little bit. I'm going to talk really fast, and I'm going to give you the ins and the outs and the ugly truth of the whole situation. So I want you to sit there and I want you to absorb as much as you can possibly absorb. All right. So TikTok, I will see you later. All right, guys, we're going to hang out here for a second. I want to see if there's any comments, any questions that I can answer real quick. I answered the pricing questions. Thanks for the follows and all that over there. I don't know how to go back. Let's see. I see everybody. How much is it going? Let's see if there's any questions over here on Instagram. Any questions on Instagram before I duck out? I signed a horrible temporary nesting plan. Oh, nesting plans are the worst. I know, but in this economy, who can afford to have 2 different homes? So even if you sign it or take them into contempt, something. Yeah. So narcissist divorce. Here's what I'll say to that. I think that deters people from really understanding that. So what's the alternative here? So this person is saying, yes, you can write stuff into a parenting plan, but not everything is enforceable by court. So even if they sign it, but may take them for contempt or something, it's not enforceable. So here's my question to you. What's the fucking alternative then? To have no plan? To say, okay, let's sign a bare bones plan, and then that narcissist gets to control me forever? Like, I hate when people say that comment, because for people that are brand new to divorce, that is a very disheartening comment to make, because you're essentially telling them they have no hope. Because honestly, where I'm from, that's not true. That's not true. Contempt charges get filed all the time where I'm from. So, and followed through. Now I hear plenty of cases where they're not, But I also hear cases where they are. So we can't make general statements like that where nothing happens in contempt, because that's very disheartening to people that are like, well, wait a second, my ex is behind $10,000. You're telling me nothing's going to happen? Because by what you just said, that is contempt. They're behind on a court order that they have to pay money. There's judges that will slap them in fucking jail for not paying that money. There's judges that will take their tax return away. There's judges that will take their license away. There's judges that will take their hunting license away. There's judges that will, put them in jail on the weekends for that. So we can't make general comments like that in telling people that details in a parenting plan don't matter, because for the person that is the rule follower, they fucking do matter. Because when I read that parenting plan and it says something like, I'm allowed to have this parenting time and he's allowed to have this parenting time, or it says something like, you're allowed to take 3 weeks vacation, and then my high conflict ex says, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. I don't have to second guess myself. I get to go, you know what? I fucking do get to take that vacation, and fuck what you said and fuck what you think. And if you take me to court, you're going to lose, because it says right here I can. So the details in the paperwork do fucking matter. And comments like that are not 100% accurate. So please, you have to, and I'm not for this whole just have a bare bones plan. No, because a plan that's bare bones tells a narcissist that they get to control me forever, all the way to graduation. You have to make sure that you don't worry about contempt. You worry about, what do I have in front of me? Do I have a detailed plan? Do I have protection? Do I have a solid piece of working document that shows me what I'm allowed to do as a parent? And does it give me boundaries to keep the other parent out of my house, because I want to parent how I want to parent here? So I don't like comments like that, because it's making people feel like they should sign a bare bones thing. You have to make sure your parenting plan covers diapers to diploma all the way through. You can write it all the way through. And here's the deal. I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, we don't know. We don't know if they're going to follow it. I don't know if they're going to get hit by a fucking truck tomorrow. Believe me, I know what I pray about. But we have to make sure that we're protected, and we can't do well, what if they don't? Well, let's hope they do. Let's start there first. Let's prepare people for the best protection. Let's get them the most details they possibly can. Let's make them feel validated and heard. And when I look at my parenting plan, I was like, well, I would think this is what we should do. I know it's not listed, but shouldn't we do that right by our kids? Well, as soon as I said that, what did the narcissist say? No, doesn't say I have to, so I'm not going to. And he wasn't wrong. He's not wrong. So the detailed parenting plan helps me sleep at night. It keeps the stress level down. It keeps the anxiety down. I know I'm following by all the rules that are listed. I can't control what they do. So if they choose not to follow the rules, that's on them. That's their life. That's their situation. That's their parenting. Does it overlap into mine sometimes? Absolutely. But then that's when I get to decide whether I'm going to do contempt or not. And I'll tell you, as somebody that had high conflict for 16, 17 years, not everything is contempt worthy. Sometimes you just go, yep, lost on that one. Not worth it. Not poking the bear on that. I'm really not. I'm not going to do that. And other times it was accurate. So, and it's really hard when you have people in your friend and family circle group that don't get why you don't charge after everything. Why you don't throw a fit, why you don't come for everybody, why you don't hammer down, And a lot of times it's because it's not worth it. And that it's not going to be something that will, benefit you in the long run. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to duck out and go watch some football, you guys. I'll probably just jump on sporadically, poking the bear, right? I mean, I think my family a lot of times was like, you should, go after him. He's wrong. He's in contempt. And I'm like, yeah, I'm building a case at this point. And you know what? We haven't been in court in 6 months. So I'm like, can I write it to 7? Because I know we'll probably be back in 8. Sam's plan is awesome. It's well worth every penny. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And again, why is my plan over the top? Why do I teach you to be over the top? Why do I tell you to ask for, everything under the stars plus the kitchen sink? Because I want to be able to say, I want all these things. And a narcissist say, well, you're not getting that. 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 Oh, okay. I'm pissed that I didn't get all those things, but what did I walk away with? Boundaries on time, boundaries on vacation, boundaries. Time with my kid has to be lock solid. So I'm going to act like all these extra little things that Sam puts in her plan are a big deal. Big deal. It's a big deal to put a car in there. It's a big deal to put cell phones. It's a big deal to put graduation. I'm going to put all these big things that are in the future that most attorneys are going to say, no, that's stupid. It's stupid. No, no, no. Okay. Let the narcissist feel like they controlled the situation. Let the narcissist feel like they took something away from me. Let the narcissist feel like they what? Hurt me. And they're more likely to sign it. You guys, it's a strategy. It's a game. It's a chess match. And if you go in with your heart wide open to a narcissist, you're going to lose every fucking time. You got to go in a business manner. You got to go in playing second fiddle, act less than, act a little bit like you're not as worthy as they are. It's all a game to get what you want. It is a strategy. And so many of you don't get it because you're hurt. And you finally are like, oh, I'm, going to come in there and charge my chest and tell you what's up. Bump the brakes a little bit. That's not how this works. Okay. So what's that other saying about get more honey? What's that one? Something with a bear too. But you have to make sure you really know who you're going up against. And if they need to tear you down to win, let them, because the end result is you got what you really wanted in the parenting plan. So we're going to ask for 100 things, knowing we're probably going to settle on about 60% of it. But the 60% we do get is what I truly wanted. I just threw that other 40% in there so they could take a red pin to it and knock it out, knock it out, knock it out, knock it out. All right. So again, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. This is not an easy road. You have to have somebody on your team that understands it. You have to have somebody that gets it, because I know when you tell your attorney some of these stories that's happening to you, I know your attorney's going home and going, geez, Cheryl, you wouldn't believe the woman I have today. She thinks her husband's a narcissist. She thinks her husband's crazy. She thinks her husband's out to kill her. She thinks, Cheryl, he does have a client that thinks all of that. And it's probably 100% true. Okay. I got people poisoning people. You see TV all the time. People are hurting people in divorce all the time. You're not crazy if you're dealing with somebody that is like this. Somebody that has nothing to lose. Somebody that has no family, no connection to nothing, has no empathy towards anybody. They're not going to have empathy for you or your children. And you need protection. You need somebody that has lived that life to get it, to understand it, because my job is to help you get that across to your attorney. And that's what you're going to learn on Tuesday. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to duck out. Behave yourselves. All right. Remember, everything you do is being documented. Bye.